Welcome to Angela Wayne Show. Both Angela and the special guest Peggy are from the sub-2 community. I am the cash buyer and I buy all the fixer properties across the nation. But today, our special guest Peggy Paige, he's a go-giver in sub-2. She's a great friend of me. Last year when I joined sub-2, when I was confused, didn't know what to do, Peggy Paige was a sweetheart to approach me, give me a lot of advice. So today I'm bringing Peggy to the stage so you can learn from her to help your success. Hi, Peggy. Nice to have you here.
Hey, Angela, thank you for inviting me. This is so sweet. It's fun
Oh,
to get to be on your podcast here.
oh, thank you so much. I know you are very busy and every day you're the leader, you have a lot of team member you are responsible for, but you are still showing up here to share your advice, your insight, your gain and lessons. So really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy you invited me.
So how long have you been in sub-2?
So I joined the community in February of 2022, so a little over a year now.
Wow. Wow, feels a lot longer because you really have a lot of footprint in the sub-2. People really look you up as a leader, as a mentor to get advice. So that's amazing that you have only a little over a year actually.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with putting myself out there. That's the one thing I don't lack is courage. So I like to just stick my neck out and try to meet as many people as possible.
Right. Yeah. I remember the first time I met you was through the nightly dial. You were really you are awesome closer and you gave us so many great pieces of advice that I learned. I said, wow, that's what a closer is supposed to be. Yeah.
Oh,
So
thank you.
yeah, I know you very well, but I think a lot of people want to know about you. So how did you start your real estate?
So I actually got my real estate license back in 2020, but
In
it was
Michigan.
kind of, yeah, in Michigan. Yes, thank you. I'm in the Kalamazoo area for anybody that needs a realtor in the area, but I'm primarily working on real estate investing. So I got my license back in January of 2020, right before, of course, March of 2020, and everybody knows what happened then. At the time I got really into listening to podcasts because I wanted to learn more and more about real estate. And that's what brought me to like Bigger Pockets. And I think a lot of us have listened to Bigger Pockets. And that's what brought me into real estate investing. I thought it was so interesting. I was like, ooh, passive income. I love the idea of that. I love the idea of I'm a problem solver by nature. So it's like I love that, and I was really attracted to the creative finance because then I was like, "Ooh, now you're really getting technical, and now you're getting really creative." And so I was really excited when I finally found Pace on Bigger Pockets because then I was like, who's this guy?" And it was really cool. I loved how he thought, and I really loved his interview. So
It's interesting to know how people found us up to. So you found a Pace. So you found a Pace through the Bigger Pocket. Yeah. Yeah, for me, Pace just showed up in my YouTube out of the blue. So I was like, what is this? So that's how I got into his strategy, everything, and I love that.
Yeah, I was actually driving to I was doing a showing and then a possible listing. So I was on my way to those and he came across. I just listened to Bigger Pockets as I'm driving and it was his show. And I was like, oh my goodness, who is this guy? And as soon as I got home, I was Googling him. And then of course I started being marketed to for his program because, I was like, oh, who's this guy? So they were smart enough to market to me because they knew I'd buy it.
So then you were agent helping the buyers and the sellers for their homes, and then you joined sub-2 and then focus on to be an investor.
Yeah, I do a little bit of the realtor stuff, not a lot. I try not to busy myself too much with it. Just because my main focus is building businesses and then real estate investing. So I love the idea of like building a team, building a business, Like now I'm learning a lot about systems and processes and stuff. And like before I would have cringed at that stuff, but it's actually like, oh, this is part of the process. And I obviously want the business to be the best it can possibly be. So yeah, so I don't do a whole lot of realtor type stuff, but I do a little just when people reach out and they know, because they know that I'm really good at communicating and I'll take care of them. So I still do a little.
Yeah, when it comes to system teams, this is a lot of people, including me, are struggling. So that's actually one of my hurdles. I get a lot of deals that people send me, but I don't really have, I'm building my system, but I don't really have a good system. So how about you share your idea and your experience about building the system, building team, and make them effective?
Yeah. So I came from a team. When I first joined Sub 2, I was, and just kind of give you a little bit of a background to that, and how I got to where I'm at and how I think. So when I came into Sub 2, I jumped a nightly dial and DQ was like, you're going to be a closer. And I thought, all right, I've got to somehow get on the phones. And I didn't know anything about lead gen or CRMs or anything like that. And I thought, well, I don't want to try to, waste a bunch of time learning that. I need to just start calling sellers. So I jumped on a team and I learned a ton being on the team. I want to say that accelerated, and that's probably why it feels like I've been in Sub 2 a lot longer than a year, because I feel like that really accelerated my growth. I got to learn a lot about the background and how that stuff is built up. So one of the things that I took away from that was that I wanted to be there for my team. I wanted to make sure that they had the support and they had that reliable person that would make sure stuff gets done. Because there was one thing I'm really good at. I'm still working on being impeccable to myself, but I'm really good at being impeccable to other people. So if I know that somebody's relying on me to get something done, like I'm there. So it's really pushed me into building myself up to become better too. So, but the systems and processes part, so I'm more, just to be transparent, I'm more of a visionary. So I'm a very strong visionary. I can see things, I can kind of envision the future. I can come up with really great ideas for the business, but I struggle with the systems and processes. Like I'm enjoying learning it just because it's helping me grow. But to be honest, it's not fun for me because I'm not an integrator. Like I would rather somebody else takes that away, because as soon as I start doing it, I can feel my energy just leave my body. I'm like, oh, get me on the phones or something.
I feel you. Definitely, I feel you. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say mostly, providing the training. Like I said, knowing that, building that loyalty and camaraderie within your team, building the team culture. Those are strengths that I kind of found in myself through last year, was the building the team culture part, and the recruiting and things like that are some of my strong assets that I didn't even know I had. So I would say it's really cool because you get to learn a lot about yourself in the real estate journey. But yeah, I don't know if that completely answered that.
Well, actually, what you said, I'm sure the viewers here have a lot of questions just by listening, what you just shared. So I'm gonna, speak on behalf of them. So you said earlier when you started, the DQ immediately recognized you are the closer. How did that happen? Did you just have that talent, or you worked on that?
So no, I had no clue. I must have had the talent because so DQ did what he loves to do if he sees that you're in there and it's your first time, and he'll pull you up and have you make calls. So, I jumped up there and I'm like, all right, I'm being called out on it. I better make these calls. And so I made just a couple of calls, and he made the comment after I was done. He's like, you're going to be a closer. And it was, at first I'm like, I have no idea what in the world he's talking about. Like, how would he get that from just that little bit of conversation he just listened to? But DQ is super smart. He is a phenomenal salesperson. And so I'm like, all right, if he said it, he is pretty smart. So he must know something. And I knew from there, I just needed to make a ton of calls to get better. I actually just erased it on my board, but I had on my goals list that I wanted to become a killer closer. So I feel like you're always a work in progress, right? Especially in sales. Like you never just like, you really shouldn't stop learning. You need to continue to learn. You need to continue to like tweak your process and, maybe learn different ways of saying things or whatnot, because people are always changing. So really the way you communicate should kind of change with that. So, but yeah, I was grateful that he pointed that out in me because it gave me a direction to go.
Yeah. And you work on a closer for a pretty long time before you move on to building the team. So how's that transition look like? Because as a closer, you are part of team. Now all of a sudden you become a leader. You have to be responsible for a lot of team members.
Yeah. It's been hard. It's been because you're relying on other people, right? So a lot of times people will tell you they'll do something and then they don't. And I realize a lot of that is like they still need to grow in their areas, because we're all in our own places through our growth journey. I call it a growth journey. And some people, they just don't even realize that's what they're doing. So it's been hard. It's been hard finding the people that will do what they say they're going to do. And then on top of that, I'm building the team culture pretty well. We've got a lot of our systems and stuff built out, but it's been a journey. It's not, I'm kind of an impatient person, so I'm learning patience along the way. But it's just not one of those things where you can like snap your fingers and it's ready. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of learning involved with it.
Yeah. I heard Paige talk a lot about that. Having this really gradually learned for him to have the level of the patient that he has right now, that nobody can even imagine. Yeah.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. So you were a closer, now you're a team leader. So how do you decide what you are meant to do, when among these so many avatars?
So the thing with the leader, actually, that was kind of one of my takeaways for Mastermind when I went back in November. Mm-hmm. You and I were both at the same Mastermind, which was nice. And my takeaway from that was like, I needed to step up and be more of a leader. Like I need to contribute to the culture of Sub 2 and kind of help spread like Pace's message and, have people working together and more collaboration and all of that stuff. So that was kind of my takeaway from that. And so I jumped right into like the next elephant challenge as a leader. And there were a few people from that challenge that just kind of wanted to stick with me and go along on my journey with me. So that was pretty cool. And then also in coaching, I did Keston's high performance coaching. We just got done with that, and something that he told me multiple times, and then even some of the other people in the coaching group, they were like, Peggy, you're a leader, like step up and do something with that. Like, I was told a couple of times, like, you have the background to build a team, like build a team. You've essentially done that before. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's, I went through the fighting it phase too. Like we kind of fight what we should be doing when we realize we should be doing something. A lot of that is based on our strengths, but then we feel like maybe we need to try this or we need to try that. And it took me a few months to kind of get back on track and just get back to the whole team thing. But yeah, that's how that came about.
How big is your team right now? And how big do you plan to expand your team?
Yeah, great question. So it has, I would say, consistent. I have 4 members. I have a few others that are on the team that I'm getting to the point where I'm like looking for that consistency and that motivation. So I'm looking for the characters that, like people that are similar to me, that are hungry and really want it. Because together, like if we can come together with that same mentality, then we can really make something happen. So I'm actually in the process of kind of like eliminating the fluff, so to speak. Because I want to be able to focus on the people that are going to show up. I want to pour into them. So
Right.
I would say 4 solid at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of team leaders, including Pace, or another anecdote that we all know is for people who are not very dedicated, you have to eliminate them. You have no choice, even though you try to help them, but you have to. But the good ones, when they are good enough, and they can do a lot of things. They may want to be independent. They may want to do things on your own. So how do you find this balance? So still have retain the talents and also make them still feel satisfied being on the team instead of be on their own.
A lot of it is how much you pour into them, and if you take the time to build the relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
So most people want to feel like you care about them. Most people want to feel like they're a part of something. So that's why it's important to me to kind of build the team culture, to put energy into the culture of the team. And then also to like help them, like talk about some mindset stuff and, growth things. And, like the first thing I did when I came back from the graduation coaching weekend that I did was I was like, all right, let's start knuckling down on some discipline here. And so I feel like, as long as I'm able to pour into them to help them grow, it kind of builds that loyalty. Like I said, as long as I know I care about them and I'm able to pour into them, it helps build that loyalty.
And how do you foster that growth mindset?
Just always like teaching it, like new things I'm learning, I'm bringing to them. And then of course, just like we're talking about it, like some of us are doing 75 hard and some of us are doing 75 soft. So just communicating that, encouraging each other, helping each other with some helpful tips, because they have obviously value to bring to the table too. So also opening that up too. And it's not just, I've also let them know, like, this isn't my team, it's our team, right? So anything that they put in, they're contributing to it, the growth of it.
So can you describe a typical week, the time commitment, the interaction, the work efficiency, the result of your team?
Yeah, so efficiency is something that I'm trying to improve on right now. Because of, like I said, I had some that said they were committed, but they're not committed, and then some that were committed and now they're not. And so I'm kind of going through the phase of like eliminating some of that. But we have like every day we have our 8:00 morning huddle, where we get together and we do sales training, mindset stuff, other type of learning, just whatever is going to help us grow, become better on the phones and whatnot, and then better, obviously, teammates. And then after that, some of us will jump into like the dog pound, Daryl Ellison's role play thing. So I've just started encouraging that. I'm really trying to get some of the shy ones to like get in there. I'm like, get in there and role play. And then the rest of the day is just connecting with sellers. So because we kind of lack on the callers being consistent. Actually, I have a gal that's helping me with my CRM, and her and I just went ahead and we focused a lot of time on building out some automations. So there's a lot of our stuff that's already set up to just, all we do is like hit start and put the leads in there and hit start basically. But we spend a lot of hours on building that out so that we at least have some kind of contact happening. But that works probably better in a way because there's a lot of foreclosures, which is something we primarily focus on. A lot of foreclosures will like, what is the word I'm looking for? Basically, it rings once and goes to voicemail. So you can't get through to them.
Right.
So I don't know why I forgot the word to that. Scanning their phone calls. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, it's hard to get through to them. So I'm like, all right, maybe automations is a good way to do this anyway. So it took a lot of time. And of course, we tested some different text campaigns. And we're finding the ones that are working better and the ones that are not working so great. And then we're just using those and building from there. So
right now you have 4 teammates. Is it like 2 doing direct, try to find the leads, and the 2 responsible to convert from leads to deals? How do
So
you?
I have one that she's responsible to help me with my CRM. So the automations we build out, workflows, all of that stuff. Like she's my go-to for that. Like she studied the CRM. And then I have a guy that does underwriting. So he focuses on, checking our numbers. And then right now I'm actually teaching the team what maximum allowable offer is and then how to comp. So the other 2, it's the way it's set up is the one is really more of a follow-up and the other one is more of my foreclosure specialist. So I was trying to find, part of being a visionary is I try to find where people fit in and also with working with their strengths. So because sometimes people are like, well, I want to be a caller, like I want to do sales, but then you kind of put them to the test and it's like, yeah, maybe you're more of an integrator, maybe you better do this. You're really good at underwriting. So I think that's how at least we function better as a team, as if people kind of work with their strengths versus, it's great. I'm not about holding people to something. I've already told my team, if you want to learn something else, I'll gladly help you learn that. Not a problem, because it's good to have many skills, but definitely build on your strengths. I know I'm not an integrator. You're not going to see me with a spreadsheet. Even though I should learn the spreadsheet and I keep telling myself I should learn it, you're probably not going to see me with one. I'm going to be working on my sales pitches and my skills more so because I know that's where I'm stronger at. So
yeah, I cannot agree with more. Just really focus on what you are good at. There's always a disconnect. It's great if it's the same, but most time there's a disconnect between what you're good at and what you want to do. So I remember when I joined Sub2, because my job is I teach at university. So me talking to a stranger for me is easy. You can just put me among a couple 100 people and I can just talk. But so I thought, oh, talking to seller should be easy for me. Nope. I went to 90 dial. I realized, wow, this is hard. So I realized as much I love talking to strangers, I better not be a closer. The learning curve is gonna be so long. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna use my husband as an example. So my husband is really good at speaking. He can do speeches, he can do presentations, but he can't read the room. So he can't tell when people stop listening to him. And it's kind of funny to me because sometimes I'll test that just to see if he keeps going, and he'll just keep talking. And I'm like, I'm not even listening anymore. It's not, because it's more than just being able to talk to people. It's also reading them, listening to the tone of their voice. Is there something in what they're saying? Is there something else that they're hiding, that they need to come out and say, learning to, part of it's courage too, digging in with those questions. A lot of people cringe when it comes to motivation. They want to take just that superficial answer and be like, oh, okay, so they just want to sell it because they want to downsize. All right, got it. Next question. Why do they want to downsize? You know what I mean? What's going on so you have to open them up more to get them to really show you their pain, because you don't really have a deal if you can't help them solve their issue. And if they're just giving you that superficial answer, well, now you can come up with all types of scenarios, but you're not really solving their problem because you're not helping them directly with what they need.
Yes.
So, yeah. But some people can't read how people react. So it's if you can't really read how people are reacting, then are you good with numbers? Are you good with it's something else maybe, but
yeah. Yeah, it's maybe hard to say, but sometimes it boils down how much you care about that the person on the other side of the line. Yeah.
Yeah, that, honestly, that is a big part of it. When I was on A team, Shad used to tell me that, like I was a really good person on the phone. I was really good in sales. And I was like, what are you guys hearing? Like, I don't get it. Like, I didn't understand it. But then he pointed it out to me. He's like, you act like you really care about them. Like people, when you're talking to them, they really feel like you want to really help them out. Like you are really trying to help them. And I'm like, well, I am, however, there's two sides to that, right? Like I'm also trying to help my team. I'm trying to help the team make money. So, I am able to like do both. But yeah, I just come across as, because I do care. I do want to help people. I know they're in a bad situation. And that's what I want to try to help them out of it.
Yeah, you do care. It's not that you try to care, you do care. That's why we gotta become good friends pretty quickly. Because when I joined Sub2, I was newbie, I didn't know what to do. So you spend a really good amount of time on the phone with me, give me a lot of advice. So like, wow, you really care about newbies. So that's how ever since then we became good friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're amazing. You're easy to pour into. So
I'll have to try the best. I cannot just let your expectation let you down, right? Have to live up to your expectation. So, so right now you're working on foreclosure. How does that go? What's your market?
primarily Florida. But I'm willing to expand out of Florida. Just right now I have most of my buyers in Florida. So that's why I'm focusing a lot more on that area. But yeah, I'm always open to expand and try other things for sure. I want to keep the focus on foreclosures primarily, but I'm also able to talk to a lot of different sellers. So like, it doesn't just have to be that necessarily, because sometimes foreclosures, they're not the easiest to get a hold of. And if you can get a hold of them, they're not the easiest to get back on the phone. They like to ghost you. They like to stick their head in the sand. So you just have to consistently try to communicate with them. But not gonna lie, it's pretty frustrating sometimes with foreclosures. Which is why I kind of like to talk to other people every once in a while, so that it's, I'm getting a little bit of a breakup in my day to not just talk to the same kind of sellers all day long. But some would argue, some would say, nope, you should pick one thing and just do that and only do that and don't do anything else. And but I'm so used to like an ever-changing environment that I have to like keep myself stimulated. So I kind of need to talk to other types of sellers, not just foreclosures. But
So what are the other types that you'll be reaching out to nowadays?
we've talked to tired landlords. I'm going to be trying my hand at divorces. I've never done those. That'll be interesting. I've done some direct agent, also just regular sellers from cold calling that have been found. So not on this team yet. We don't have the cold calling capabilities other than the teammates doing it. But hopefully in the near future, we'll have VAs calling.
Yeah. So for all these tired landlord divorces, also in Florida or everywhere?
I've done quite a few different markets. So yeah, the only market I struggle with is, and I don't struggle with the people, I actually connect with them really well, is Texas, is just because of like, it's a non-disclosure state. Jersey, when it was more of a seller's market, they were not the easiest ones to call. But I think it kind of helps because like I'm from the Midwest and everybody looks at Midwesterners like we're the nice people in the country. Southerners are too. But I feel like it's easy to connect with people no matter where I call. And my voice just went out.
So right now, the Texas, Florida, they are competitive markets because most of Sub2 and even other investors in general, these two states are always the hot market. So what do you feel like? What's your experience working those two states?
It is harder to get through to sellers because they have so many people calling. But because I come across as really wanting to help people, I do feel like I stand out. We did get feedback from one seller that based on our text campaign and how we wrote it out, she said, you guys sounded like you really want to help people. Like, that's the reason I responded to you. She's like, I'm getting all kinds of text messages and whatnot, but you guys actually sound like you want to help people. Wow. So I was like, oh, thanks for the feedback. Cool. I was glad to see, because I was a little nervous about setting up a text campaign because I always feel like I can convey myself a little better talking to people. I didn't feel like it would come across that I actually do want to help them in a text. And so it was really nice to get that feedback from the seller. I was like, oh, good. It is coming across that way. That's what I was wanting it to sound like. So.
So in other words, you actually don't use the standard boilerplate, those text campaign scripts. You actually have your own modified script.
Yeah, because I don't want to sound like everybody else, especially in a market that is really competitive. You know, if they see the same text coming through all day long, you know, people saying the same things, like it's hard to stand out from anybody else if you sound like everybody else. So yeah, I just try to sound like I care, and it works.
Yeah, so closing deals is a long process. Before the moment the seller says, even when they say, oh, I'm ready to sell now, it still takes time. So how do you just keep your members like motivated, even though they don't see the financial result immediately?
So you should always set expectations with yourself and your team. You know, it normally takes, so if you're running a team, or let's say you're even doing a cold calling campaign on your own, right? Like, you should expect that you're probably not going to start seeing some kind of results for 6 months at least. And a lot of people kind of go into this thinking like, oh, I'm going to get a deal right away. You know, maybe they make calls for a week and they're like, I didn't get anywhere. And then they quit. It's like, yes, it's slow to start before you get the deals, but once you get the ball rolling, it's almost like a snowball down a hill, right? It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Like, you start getting one deal, and then you'll get two, and then you'll get three. But of course, as you start to grow you got to grow your processes and your people too. So, yeah, I set the expectation with them. I'm like, look, like, don't expect a deal right away. If one happens, then yay. But, you know, you've got to grow. Like, you've got to grow in your skills. You know, sometimes you've got to make a lot of follow-ups to them before they're actually ready. Like, you've got to build that trust with them for them to really want to work with you. So yeah, I think just being really upfront with people and saying, hey, this takes time. Like, that's why you need to kind of be in it for the long run.
And what about, how do you handle the dynamic among team members? So for instance, normally some mistakes I've seen is the acquisition team locked up the price a little bit too high because they really care about the seller, so give it a little bit higher, but then they have a hard time to sell because price is too much, not many buyers are interested. So when that kind of conflict happens, how do you try to resolve it?
So that's why I have an underwriter. Because, you know, I want somebody to look at the numbers other than me. Somebody that likes spreadsheets to look at the numbers. And, you know, and then we have a discussion, like, you know, what is the number? So ideally, I want to lock it up at a good price the first time, but you can always go back and renegotiate with the seller and do an addendum if you do find out you have it too high. However, it's hard to do that. So that's why you need to make sure your numbers are good in the first darn place. That's like my way of swearing and and emphasizing people use underwriting. Because, you know, it is hard to go back and negotiate, right? Like, they don't have to accept that. Like, if you try to change it, they can just be like, nope, no deal. And now you just lost it. So know your numbers first. And a lot of times you can explain that stuff to sellers and you can usually come to some kind of an agreement. Maybe not, it might not be right for them, but that's where knowing their motivation and knowing the problems that you need to solve comes in handy for figuring it out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Especially nowadays, the market is changing. So hopefully seller can start to realize that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. They are. Thank goodness. They are. They know if they put it on the market, it might not sell, or, they know that they probably need to rehab it because those are the only ones really moving off the market now. So sellers are starting to wise up to it. It did take a bit, but I think we've been far enough into a buyer's market now that they realize it's a buyer's market.
Yeah. So what's your understanding about what's your experience about the Florida market? Is the seller pretty easy to coordinate, or they are really hard to work with?
I would say, especially when it was a seller's market, definitely very hard to work with. But it's really the same all over the place, really. Even in more competitive markets, if you dig in on their motivation and you know how to truly help them. That's why I love creative financing, because you can come up with all kinds of possible solutions to make it work for both the buyer and the seller. So that's why it's really good to just communicate with them. It is harder to get them on the phone, though, in a more competitive market.
Right. Yeah.
So that is the hardest part. So, if you are newer in real estate, and calling sellers probably, and you want to get a deal, it probably wouldn't be good to start in Florida just because it's so highly competitive, unless you live there and then you're going to go like door knocking or something. But
so what other markets maybe newbies can start to try and still see some success and still get some action going?
yeah. So I know there's a lot of kind of like unpopular markets like Cleveland or Detroit. But it's probably easier to get deals there. It's all about the numbers, and there's buyers everywhere. Like, I think that's what a lot of people think of, is they think, well, there's not going to be buyers. It is going to be hard to find buyers if you're in a rural area. But anywhere that's in or close to a major city, you could probably find buyers for. There's buyers all over the place, so just like there's a market for the $500,000 houses, there's a market for the 50,000. So it just depends. But I would probably start somewhere. The Midwest is getting pretty competitive, though. I would have probably said last year, I probably would have said the Midwest, but it's getting pretty competitive even in the Midwest now. So I just say take your shot, as long as it's not a super hot state in one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and also about the regulations. For instance, I'll be working on field foreclosures in SoCal. The problem is here we have so many programs, so the sellers are not super motivated because they can always ask for extension and another extension. So they know they can just keep pushing, pushing to the uncertain distance in the future. So they know they won't lose the house that fast.
Yeah.
That make it harder.
Yeah. That's why, I mean, it's probably best to do business in a red state, and then you don't have to worry about stuff like that. Like Texas doesn't really play, from what I've seen. Their foreclosure process is shorter, so you can get people to the table a lot quicker. So yeah, as an investor, it's probably better to work in those areas than, like, I love California. California is a beautiful state, but I don't know if I want to try to buy properties there just because of, how they're able to just push stuff off for so long. And then of course it's not landlord friendly.
Yeah. So you mentioned the reason you chose Florida is because you have some team member, or you're pretty strong in the market. But for people who who don't have some people they know, but not a very strong connection in the local market, in that market. So what's your advice to give them to choose the market that they can still work and profitable and make results happen without all these rules? So what's your take on that?
If they know their own market, why not start in their own market? There's always deals to be made in all over the place. So if you know your own backyard really well, maybe start in your own market.
Yeah. Yes, but sometimes it's a little bit just like, for instance, SoCal. I'm still working on SoCal, but I know it's pretty hard. It's the pricing and all these rules, like rent regulation, make it pretty difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you
So,
could always JV and partner up with people.
right.
So if you're new, you could always find somebody that's willing to pour into you and work with you and, kind of help you along the process. I joined a team. When I was a month in, I looked for a team. But part of that was being there for them, right? So I had to show up every day and make calls. I had to be in the meetings, like I had to do my part to be a part of that team. So that is a choice. I would highly recommend people join a team, especially if they're looking to make calls and they want to build their skills. You get a piece of the pie, you do get paid out some commission. And in the process, you get to learn and be paid. Like, what's better than that?
But for those people who full-time in real estate, that would be a great way to learn the business. But what about people who still have a W-2 job, cannot commit that many hours a week? What would you advise for them?
Whatever works with their schedule, just commit to something and stick with it. Like, there's a lot of people in real estate that have become super successful that, had a W-2 and were doing the real estate investing in their spare time until they got to the point where they could drop their W-2. So it's just a matter of commitment. A lot of it for a lot of people, and I understand. I had a job once upon a time, not too long ago. When you get home, you're tired. Like, it's the last thing you want to do is keep working. And a lot of people just want to kind of veg out and not do anything. But it's really, it all boils down to your commitment, to your discipline, and then being consistent with it. Because a lot of people just put a little bit of time into something and then they think like magic's going to come out of that, but it just doesn't happen that way. There's the rare stories that something really awesome happens early on in somebody's real estate investing journey. But the majority of the time, like that doesn't happen. Like, it takes time, it takes commitment, it takes learning the new skills, and then, and eventually it starts to pay off.
So your 14 members, are they full-time or part-time?
One is full-time. That's my CRM person. She puts in as many hours as she needs to. She has little ones though, so she kind of has to work around her little ones. And then my other three all have full-time jobs. So it's just whatever they commit to. So I just ask them, like, what are you going to commit to doing this? And they give me their commitment, and then I just kind of hold them to it.
Wow, because I know you are doing this full-time. Yeah, you are fully committed.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, you really help the team member to grow. So the community should also give back to you, because you will be a go-giver to the community. So what deals you are working on, what you are looking for, resource, whatever, so people can reach out to you to give you some value.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you. So right now I'm really looking for VAs so that they can, because what I would like to do is scale up the amount of calls that are being made. And with the people being part-time, they only make just so many calls. So I really want to be able to have like a lot of calls coming through and then just start building out that REI conveyor belt. So my long-term vision for the team is to have VAs cold calling and then VAs lead managing, and then to have just a few people that are just really strong at closing deals. So that's like my long-term vision for the team. But So right now I'm just looking for VAs and if possibly an integrator to partner with, maybe funding, something like that, but something to where we're all working together just to build something. Because I have the sales, which I'm still working on. I'm not going to say like I'm the best closer in the world. You know, that would be not me.
You are good. You are pretty good.
Yeah, but I'm a decent closer. I'm a decent closer, and you know, and I can like recruit and build culture. So I can bring an acquisitions team to the table. So if anybody's looking for stuff like that, we could possibly have a conversation and see if, you know, if we would be able to help each other out.
So you need more VAs. You need some acquisition team.
Yes, I need consistent people that are going to show up and do it and not just say they're going to do it.
Which is hard. You have to verify the people. You know, it's
Very
easy
hard.
to say, I want to do it, I'm committed, but it's another thing to actually do the work.
So many people will say, yes, I want to do it. And then they, just don't show up.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, I know that's part of their journey. So I don't like take offense to it. You know, I know that, you know, I was there once upon a time. So it took a lot of growth. Honestly, coaching helped a ton with that. We all have to get over ourselves, but right, we have to unlearn our bad habits. So, you know, I know that just some people are like at that part in their life where they're ready to take that step and start taking the action and moving forward. And then you have some people that say they are, but they're not really. Like they're still scared of something. There's something holding them back. They're still working with their paradigms or whatever it is. And yeah, like I understand that. Like old Peggy would have gotten frustrated and angry about it. But since I've been doing coaching, I just understand that people are just in their spot. But I would love to like help somebody that's like ready to really take off and grow, and kind of drag them along with me. Let's grow together.
I'm pretty sure a lot of viewers right now, they want to join your team, but are you looking for anybody or only experienced?
No, you don't have to be experienced. You just have to be willing to learn, and you have to be like hungry, and you have to be willing to work on consistency and discipline, and you know, be ready to show up for yourself and your family. Because that's what a lot of it is. People don't realize that when they commit to something, they're letting more than just themselves down, or the people that they said that they would work with down. They're kind of letting other people in their lives that they're doing this for down. So no, as long as they're hungry and wanting to learn and they want to make a lot of calls, and a little bit of experience would be nice, but no, I mean, you just have to have the willingness to learn.
So what's your personal goal in terms of maybe how many doors or what kind of property types that you can achieve, or say a team want to achieve?
So I'm struggling with the real estate investing side, actual ownership side, because I really like businesses more than I like single family houses and stuff. So I see the benefit of, you know, owning single family and duplexes or small multifamily and whatnot, but and even, you know, larger multifamily, I can definitely see the benefits of that, but eventually that'll be like my go-to to try to help me with taxes. But for right now, like I really like problem solving. And so my heart is starting to lean towards businesses. So I may be wanting to just buy a bunch of businesses in the future. Like that honestly gets me excited, and it doesn't get me excited to talk about buying a single family house.
I think maybe that's why you are so into building team, because it's a business.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's why I said I'm kind of enjoying the systems and processes part, you know, just because it's part of building a business. So when I got in, before I even started this entire journey, I viewed myself as kind of a serial entrepreneur someday. So I'm going to Dealmaker next month.
I'll see you there. Yeah.
Yay! Yeah, and I'm hoping I learn a whole bunch from that, and that kind of starts me on my journey towards being a business owner. I like being a business owner.
Yeah. What kind of business are you interested in, either owning or operating?
So my background is healthcare. So I'm thinking I'm going to be leaning into the healthcare space.
Mhm.
I also really enjoy wellness stuff. So it's probably going to have, like I'm open to do different things. Obviously, if I want to own multiple businesses, but it'll probably be in the health and wellness areas, that when I own businesses, but I'm not excluding other things. Like I would be down to own a car wash. Like I don't care. Like I'm not picky, but I feel like my passion would be more in like health and wellness.
Uh-huh. So your background in health, actually, I don't really know too much. So were you in, so tell us about it a bit. So maybe you can help people to do more medical living kind of thing.
Oh, so I was actually a paramedic for a lot of years.
Wow.
And prior to that, I worked in the hospital as like a nurse's aide. And like a kind of like a tech, more to speak, because I had like skills that they had us doing, like drawing blood and whatnot. But yeah, I was paramedic for a lot of years.
Wow.
And then I went through like a health issue. I had something really funky kind of happen in my heart one night. And so that scared me. And so I started really learning a ton about like wellness, like nutrition, and I was working out all the time. And I know I've slacked on that, but I'm getting back into that. And like, learning about like just different wellness type things like fasting and cleansing and all of this stuff. I got really, really into that for quite a while. That's why I said it, and I'm passionate about it. I'm still passionate about it.
Mhm.
Um, that's why I feel like those two areas, not necessarily EMS. I don't want to own a business in EMS. That part of my life is done, but I do enjoy like science and healthcare. So it'll be something along those lines.
So when you say you want to own business in healthcare and wellness, what are the examples that you like to own?
So I was actually talking to a guy the other day, and he had owned a home healthcare business.
Uh-huh.
And, that had crossed my mind once upon a time, and then I kind of dismissed it. This was a while back.
Mhm.
And now I'm thinking about it again. It's like, maybe, like,
Mhm.
because there was a lot of stuff that I obviously had to do in people's homes, because people don't know that like EMS will also do transfers and will do wellness checks and do different things like that. So, I like the idea of helping people in their homes. My parent that's still left is elderly.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking maybe possibly home health care. I like the idea of maybe owning some gyms.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Wow. All right. So we are out here. So if you have any looking for JV partners in the healthcare wellness business, now you know who are gonna with the amazing person you can partner up with. So
Heck yeah.
our yeah. So our show is coming to pretty much to end. Are there anything else that you want to share with the viewer? Maybe how they find you?
You can always find me on Facebook under my name, Peggy Paige. I should have put my phone number. Look at that. Your phone number is next to your name.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that real quick. So if they
Yeah.
want to text me, silly Peggy.
So here, just get even more attention because people are waiting for you to type the contact info.
Get it in there. Get it in there.
Here we go.
There we go. Yeah. So anybody can text me when I'm available. I'll text you back if I'm in a meeting. Obviously, I try to pay attention to the meeting, but yeah, you can reach out to me on that or in Messenger on Facebook. You can hit me up. I'm not a big Instagram person. I know Pace says we should be, but I am on Instagram. Just I check it so rare. If you message me on Instagram, it might be a long, long time before I get back with you. So I'd say Messenger and cell phone.
Messenger and a cell phone. And the people who want to join teams, who maybe want to do business. So these are all the things they can reach out to you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes too, if people just want to like, depending on my schedule, if they just want to like figure stuff out, sometimes I'm pretty good at helping people figure stuff out. Not always, sometimes it's a little harder it's whatever people reveal, but sometimes I've helped people kind of figure out the next steps that they need to do. So I'm down for helping in those ways as well.
Yeah, I'm the testimony on that. You really helped me so much. I joined up to May 2022, and now, a lot of people know me, and then the reason I get there is that you give me so much advice. What I'm good at, what resources I have, and what I should focus on. And I just followed your advice, and here I am.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So for everybody, thank you for here to watch our interview with Peggy Paige. So please message her if you want to join a team, if you want to look for JV partners. She's a go-giver, so be sure to connect with her. And the next time I'll bring more go-giver speakers to my stage so you can get more people to connect. Thank you very much. See you next time.